here to ask you to give us Claire. We need her blood.
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the most glaring, head-scratching, and downright nonsensical plot holes in TV series.
Seriously?
Spoilers to come. Number 10. Unlimited gas. The Walking Dead. Zombie apocalypses are world-ending in many ways. This acclaimed series does a good job showing the realistic effects of such a fallout in compelling ways. However, it does cheat in at least one respect. Characters travel all over the Atlanta, Georgia region without seeming to worry about gas for their cars, or even how easily gas can degrade.
Where did you get the gasoline? Come again? Doesn't matter.
Only in season 9 do we find out that some characters have been making their own ethanol via dead corn crops. Better late than never, but it does beg a question. Were bicycles really not an option?
Maybe we can find some bikes. Bikes don't burn.
Number 9. Livias House. The Sopranos. Yes, even this show has its fair share of plot holes, but we find one hole in particular the most glaring.
He sold a house.
Hey, don't people have names anymore? Who's he?
Anthony. He sold my house.
While Livia is living in a retirement community, she finds out that Tony has decided to sell her home. Tony initially tells the retirement home staff member that his mother's house went into escrow, but he ends the conversation asking Livia be told that,
Just, tell her her house sold and they accepted the counter offer.
This leads a bitter Livia to attempt to enact revenge on her son. But in the first episode of season 2, Tony tells his sister Janice that he just put her house on the market.
Then I'll take her home to Seattle. Maybe stay at her house here temporarily.
Oh, I doubt that. I just put her house on the market.
Oh.
In the end, Tony ends up keeping the house after all. It's a strange retcon, or perhaps a continuity error, and yet it's still one of the many enduring mysteries of this seminal series. Number 8. Chandler and Rachel forget they met each other. Friends.
Everyone, this is Chandler, my roommate and lead singer of our band.
You'd think for a show about a bunch of friends called Friends, we'd know how everyone became friends. Okay, that's the last time we'll say friends. In the pilot episode of the series, Rachel makes her grand entrance into Central Perk, reuniting with her former bestie Monica after having run out on her wedding.
Rachel? Oh God, Monica, hi, thank God. I just went to your building and you weren't there, and then this guy with a big hammer said that you might be here, and you are.
Monica introduces her to her crew, including Chandler, Ross's longtime friend, who we later learn has met Rachel many times before the events of the first episode. So why don't they recognize one another? Perhaps the writers hadn't figured out everyone's backstories quite yet, and later hoped that we wouldn't notice.
Rachel! Rachel!
What?
You missed the exit.
Oh, sorry.
Number 7. JD and Turk's meeting story kept changing. Scrubs. The close relationship between these friends is the heart of many touching and hilarious moments in the show. But how did these bros first meet?
JD, look at me. You are a dork.
Not all the time.
Every second since the moment I met you.
In season 2, we see JD dorkily introducing himself to Turk while entering the room. But in season 4, a different flashback altogether shows Turk showing up to what's seemingly JD's dorm, with a still dorky JD reciprocating.
Yo, they call me Chris One. What's the dealio?
Welcome to our lair. I'm an 8th level ogre magi with invisibility, and this is Randall.
This can't be the case of two entirely different perspectives, like what JD thinks and what Turk says about what happened between Turk and JD's girlfriend Stacy. Either one or the other happened. At least these two kept the bromance going, though.
See, JD, the thing that I always liked about you was that you were just yourself. You never cared about what people thought.
And that's why you hung out with me?
No, you had a car. Still do.
Number 6. When did Marans Death happen? Pretty Little Liars. Fans of this mystery teen drama have always been confused about when and how exactly Marion Cavanaugh died.
It hasn't been that long since your mom.
It was a year ago last week.
The story goes that Toby was still a kid when it happened. However, in season 4, we're treated to a flashback of her son Toby and Allison as teenagers about to lock lips. In that scene, Marion was clearly still alive, but in season 6, it's discovered that Bethany Young killed Marion, framing a young Cece Drake for the murder.
Oh my God. Bethany, what did you do? What did I do? You pushed her. Freak!
On top of that, Cece is over 6 years older than Allison, so the timeline doesn't add up. Considering that season 4 concerned Toby investigating his mother's death, this appears to be a grave oversight.
Doesn't make any difference. The woman's dead.
If it doesn't make any difference, then why would Wilden change the facts when he filed the report? Why would he lie?
Hey, why does anybody lie?
Number 5. Dan being Gossip Girl makes little sense. Gossip Girl. The identity of this mysterious gossip blogger had been hotly theorized by fans throughout the show's run. Unfortunately, the long-awaited reveal was highly disappointing.
But that gave me the idea. If I wasn't born into this world, maybe I could write myself into it.
Dan Humphrey being Gossip Girl does suit his outsider-type character. In universe, however, the revelation has many holes and begs many questions. For one thing, he always seemed surprised by Gossip Girl's blasts, even when he was alone without an audience.
Why is it that friends of Serena Vanderwoodson have to search for her suitor? Have fables fallen so out of fashion that princesses have to do everything themselves?
For another, his sister Jenny had been cruelly targeted by Gossip Girl before. It would have been out of character for Dan to slander her, considering his protectiveness towards her.
And since when do you start reading Gossip Girl blasts anyway?
Since you became the subject of them. You're 15 years old and I'm your big brother. It is my business.
All in all, it's a very confusing choice. Number 4. The employees were surprised they were filmed even though they talked to the camera. The Office. The mockumentary aspect of this iconic sitcom still holds up, at least better than similar shows who tried their hand at it. But when it becomes time for the employees at Dunder Mifflin to get to watch this years-long project, it becomes an instant controversy.
I didn't know they were filming then.
Looks like the cameraman was hiding behind the shelves.
Wait, so they were filming all the time even when we didn't know it?
Why? They obviously knew there were cameras there in the first place. We suppose with the way this bunch carried on that perhaps they just forgot about them after a while, and or they just didn't realize how much of the last years of their lives would be captured on film.
We need to know more. Did those shots have sound? What exactly did they get on tape?
I sneezed into my hands without using Purell and then dipped into the candy jar. Did they film that?
Also, the reason why the documentary was being made in the first place was never clear. The show's writers stated it was due to an employee's death, but that too doesn't really make sense overall.
Tom? He worked in accounting up until about a year ago.
Tom. Oh, that guy was weird.
Some mysteries are better left as such. Number 3. Claire's healing powers are inconsistent. Heroes. This superhero drama had some plot holes, especially the origins of Claire's powers, which are a little unclear. We're told in the pilot episode that Claire's self-healing prowess manifested in adolescence.
This is Claire Bennett. That was attempt number 6.
Later on in the season, however, Claire reunites with her biological mother, who tells her she thought that her daughter had died in the fire. Claire both tells and shows Meredith that she believes she survived thanks to her healing abilities.
I need you to see. See what? I think I know how I survived that fire.
However, if Claire's powers had already manifested when she was a baby, then why did they seemingly become dormant only to reemerge later during puberty? We're not even going to touch on Claire's healing blood. Number 2. Bellick is clearly innocent. Prison Break. There are many plot holes and inconsistencies in this crime drama. Perhaps the most egregious is Brad Bellick being framed and then arrested for the murder of Roy Geary.
I don't care what you were doing. I just need to know where you were doing it and who you might have crossed paths with so I can find out who carved up Mr. Geary.
The captain's violent voicemail clearly made it easy for Teabag to set him up, but the fact still stands that Bellick was at the hospital during the time of the murder. It would have been a very easy thing to prove, so there was no way Bellick should have been convicted. Were the police that incompetent? Did no one give Bellick a decent lawyer? It's frustrating, all right.
When we found the receipt, Brad, it was in Gary's hand, his finger pointing to your name. With his last ounce of strength, he told us you killed him.
Okay, listen.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Everything. Riverdale. Okay, so perhaps this isn't a show that you'd expect good continuity from, or even particularly strong writing. Riverdale seems to almost pride itself on its pulpy surrealism and nonsensical plot lines.
And why was my doppelganger clutching one when he died? For that matter, how did I even have a doppelganger? Hoping to find sane answers to these impossible questions, I sat down and began to read.
Still, we must recount some of the ways in which this series had all our brains melting. For one, there is the teenaged Jughead becoming the king of the dangerous gang of criminals known as the Southside Serpents, with Cheryl joining in.
My boy has never stopped fighting for this crew. Hell, he almost died for it. That's why I'm giving you the mantle.
There are countless discrepancies regarding the ages of the characters. And then there's that time the characters find themselves in an alternate universe with the town now known as Riverdale.
The name of this place is Riverdale. And though it might seem familiar to you, like a town you visited before, I can assure you it is not that same town.
This everything but the kitchen sink storyline had even its fans scratching their heads to make sense of it all. But alas, it was all in vain. Which other TV series had you tripping over its many plot holes? Let us know in the comments.
I had nothing to do with Gary's death. You hear what I'm saying? I'm the victim here.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.